20 minutes of the best top expert tips and hacks to make your life better. LifeHakx. Technology, business, multimedia, wellness and health, events, reviews, and more. This is Mary Collins from LifeHakx Media and Radio X Switzerland, and I have the absolute pleasure to have Karen Shidlo on with me today. Hi, Karen. How are you?
Hi, I'm really good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited because we have the metaverse to talk about today. So I'm just going to tell our listeners a little bit more about you and what we're going to talk about. So as the metaverse takes huge leaps with established banking giants investing in the groundbreaking iteration of new web, financial systems will undoubtedly need to transform in order to keep up with innovations. Fiat24 invites you to begin your journey in a new financial universe, empowering you through ownership and control, all made possible because of the power of the Ethereum blockchain. Combining security, reliability, and traditional banks with the advantage of a decentralized ecosystem powered by smart contracts, Fiat24 is a place where transparency reigns supreme. Access free banking services that are always available from the comfort of your own mobile device, and enjoy the first core banking system that is entirely built on blockchain. So, and now also for information about Karen. Karen is an Americanized British woman who has been living in Zurich for over 6 years. With a background in visual and graphic design for advertising campaigns, she's decided that in order to be able to gain control of the full story of a campaign from ideation and creation to distribution, she would have to evolve into a digital marketer. She has gained her diploma in digital marketing, had training experience in ETH spinoff, and now acts as the marketing manager of Fiat24. So with all of that amazing and interesting information, Karen, tell me a little bit more about blockchains. What are they?
Thank you for the great introduction. So blockchain is the underlying technology of Bitcoin. And a blockchain is essentially a digital ledger, or more simply put, just a booking system of transactions that are duplicated and then distributed across an entire network of computer systems that are connected to each other. So each block in the chain contains a number of transactions, and every time that a new transaction occurs on the blockchain, a record is added to every participant's ledger. The main advantage, I would say, of the blockchain system is how it records information, which is in such a way that makes it impossible to change, hack, or cheat the system.
Okay. Well, okay. So, I mean, that's a lot to wrap one's head around. But it seems to be the way that banking is going, currency is going this way as well, more of a global universal format. I guess then the next question is, what are smart contracts?
So a smart contract is an agreement between two people in the form of computer code, and the transactions that happen in a smart contract are processed on the blockchain, which just simply means that they can be executed automatically without a third party. If I give you a real world example, I'm sure you know about crowdfunding sites like Kickstarter.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the current process is that people who wish to fund a project that they believe in donate money, which is then used by the project founders to develop their idea. If they complete the project, the investor receives that product or service, but if the project is not completed, they get their money back. And now all of this is handled through Kickstarter, which is essentially a third-party service or a middleman. And the way that this would work via smart contract is that the conditions are not only written, but they're also carried out via the code written in that program. So there's no need for any middleman, essentially. And in our case, smart contracts fulfill our needs for increased human productivity and efficiency, because it really kind of like removes the amount of intervention that we have to do, because the smart contracts are pre-written and the code carries it out, the conditions. But also the great thing about smart contracts is that they provide transparency and trust. So there's no way to hide the smart contract code as they're all publicly visible.
Okay. So, I mean, speaking of things like crowdfunding, there's been a lot of controversy about this, where, all of a sudden, if someone doesn't like what people are funding, they can pull it. Is there a way that now that's going to be more protected with blockchain, where people will have the right back to their money so it doesn't get donated to an alternative charity or used to buy a mansion or something? I mean, how does that work?
Oh, yeah, exactly. So I've heard about this in the case of BLM, right? The Black Lives.
There's a few, yeah. There's truckers, there's BLM. There's a lot of cases where people have put money in and the money is just like vanished,
Yeah, so I think that's definitely something that the use of smart contracts and blockchain technology can solve, because, as we said, it really removes kind of like human intervention and a third party. So I think that there's really a way that you can invest in something that you believe in, but there are conditions set without human involvement. So it really reduces the possibility of manipulation or for human generated problems. So
okay.
I think it could really solve those kind of issues.
No, absolutely. It sounds like a great. And so, speaking of which, now what is the point of the metaverse? How is it going to? What is it going to offer in regards to everything? Purchasing, property. I mean, there seems to be this whole new thing that are NFTs and virtual properties and all. Tell us a bit more about how the metaverse and Fiat24 are going to interact.
Okay. Well, first of all, to answer your question about the metaverse, in terms of a definition, there isn't currently a strict definition. I think that the term is being used a lot nowadays. But there is an overlap, I think, in what people are saying the metaverse will be. And I think the metaverse will really be the evolution of the internet as we know it today. So some of the main changes will take place in the way that we consume and create content. And also, importantly, how we interact socially. And one thing that I think is interesting about the metaverse is that it mimics the real world, and that there's ownership in the metaverse. So you can own objects and you can own NFTs. And just like in the real world, with ownership comes consequences. Likewise, that will take place in the metaverse. And the metaverse really offers commercial opportunities. It will also bring people closer together because there are no borders. So it will afford everyone the same opportunities, because currently physical distances really create unfairness. So if we think about if I wanted to hire a freelancer that is based in Vietnam, then their prices are a lot cheaper than a freelancer that I might hire in Switzerland, So those kind of physical distances will not really exist in the metaverse. So it will really offer a more level playing field.
Okay, so that's a good hacks, is to create more equality in the whole world.
What you want?
Why work harder when you can work smarter and live better? LifeHakx. So Karen, you were telling us how, the metaverse is going to even out the playing field, make things more better for unity and equality. Tell me a little bit more how Fiat24 is going to play into the metaverse.
Well, maybe it makes sense to first tell everyone a little bit more about Fiat24.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we started in 2018, and basically, if I can give a really simple explanation, we're trying a new way to run a bank. So a new way which will be more efficient than the way traditional banks operate, in the sense that we have less human intervention, reduced operational costs, but at the same time fulfilling all of the regulatory requirements. And we're trying to change the core of banking. And so, as we already mentioned, we make use of blockchain and smart contracts. And the way that we want to allow people to fulfill traditional banking will be aligned with the demands of Web3 and the metaverse.
Okay. So do you think that all currency is going to go towards digital currency?
I would certainly hope that it will. I guess in the end we'll have to wait and see politicians and decision makers who will ultimately define its success.
Right. And are there specific benefits, in your opinion, other than the evening out of pay scales of going digital?
Yeah, certainly. So the first benefit is that it's a more efficient way of using currencies, and it's also more convenient. If I give you an example, the other day I had to hire someone to carry out a job in Vietnam, actually, and he requested that I pay using TransferWise, and the money took 5 whole working days to get to him, you know. And if you use cryptocurrencies, it's really like immediate.
Okay.
So it's definitely more efficient also because you don't even have to go to a physical location.
Right. I mean, actually, now that I think about it, I travel a lot. And back in the day, I remember having trouble with Northern Irish pounds. And I remember being in the Caribbean and even in other places that were like, but this is not an English pound. And it's like, it is an English pound. It's part of the UK. It's the Commonwealth. And going to an actual bank physically and fighting with the teller because they did not want to take Northern Irish pound. You know, and it was like, this is ridiculous because it's the same thing. So I guess it would be really nice if there was something that was just simple and it was direct and straightforward. So, Karen, now that we know there are benefits to going digital with our currencies, are there any dangers of going that way?
For sure. So one problem is that when you use cash in the real world, you can kind of avoid leaving a personal trail. And when you use currencies, digital currencies online, you ultimately have to leave a personal trail. Another thing is anonymity, which can be a benefit and is quite attractive to some people who use cryptocurrencies. But on the other hand, it could be a danger in terms of corruption or being used for criminal purposes. And finally, with anything digital, there's always the risk of hacking, although, as I mentioned before, with blockchain and smart contracts, it's pretty difficult.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, it's like everything. Every currency, every business has the possibility of corruption, you know? So that's just something that I'm sure that the world and banking will take on board in advance to make sure that they secure their systems and have policies to help people through and check people for corruption and things that could go wrong.
Absolutely.
All right, well, yeah, so
Why work harder when you can work smarter and live better? LifeHakx.
So Karen, tell me a little bit more about how Fiat24 got started and what their goals are for the future of currency and the metaverse. 2-3 questions.
Sure. So we started in 2018, and our idea is to try to create a new way in which to run a bank, one which is more efficient than traditional and legacy banks, in the way that we operate with less human intervention and we have reduced operational costs, but at the same time we fulfill all of the regulatory requirements. We want to change core banking, and we provide people with a seamless payment experience with various centralized but especially decentralized finance ecosystems using blockchain technology. We're licensed by Switzerland's independent financial markets regulator, FINMA.
Okay.
And since January of this year, we've been listed in the CBVC Top 50 reports Top 50 crypto and blockchain companies in Switzerland.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So are there any life lessons or hacks that you wish you knew now that you wish you knew then when the process started that you know now when it comes to currency or otherwise?
Well, for sure, since I've been here, I've learned a lot about blockchain and crypto. But if I could give people a life lesson, I would say that I know that there's a lot of people who are sitting around even today feeling a bit stupid for not investing in Bitcoin in 2011 because they would have made a great profit. So my life lesson is that people should really get acquainted with blockchain technology really early on, which means now, before it's really more widely adopted and becomes quite expensive or less easy to get involved.
Okay, so people who are interested in moving forward with blockchain and Fiat24, where do they start?
I think for people who want to get involved with blockchain technology, they should look up Fiat24 and explore how creating an account with us will help you to invest and make transactions in the metaverse.
Okay, that sounds like a great idea. And of course, on LifeHakx.com, that's with a K and an X, we will have Fiat24 and Karen's information available for people to find out more information and get started in the metaverse and with blockchain. So, I would say that anyone who is looking for advice for investment trends, digital currency, and also the interesting thing that I was on was that kind of metaverse world that you guys have that's like where you can go on and buy virtual pieces of land?
Yes, that's exactly correct. So basically, with our F24 tokens, which is part of our giveaway, you can use those reward tokens that you have in your wallet to buy premium land and accounts in our metaverse.
Okay, cool. And so explain to people what happens when you have land in the metaverse. What can you do with land in the metaverse?
Well, at the moment, it really serves as any kind of real estate. So there is value in bigger plots of land. And it also gives you an opportunity to present yourself like in the form of advertising. Ooh. So in our metaverse, if you buy a plot of land, you will be publicly visible, and we can also link to your social media, Twitter accounts.
Okay. When it comes to the metaverse, what does Fiat24 really want to let people know that they have available?
That's a great question. Thank you. So I don't know if this has been made clear yet, but the metaverse will exist in the next iteration of the web, which is Web 3.0. And if we think about what our current state of the web is, which is Web 2, it's kind of like a superficial way of interacting with the web. It's a hypertext version. So we are content creators, but we don't really own the content that we're creating. So in Web 3, that will change, and also in the metaverse, so that there's more ownership. So the way it works is with cryptocurrencies, you have a digital wallet, and you hold all of your cryptocurrencies in there.
You said people will own more of their own content, which is
important. So basically, when you have a digital wallet and cryptocurrencies, they really belong to you in a way that, like when you use traditional banking services, you are still dependent on the bank. And also on a currency which could be manipulated, or which can be used in political context, for example, as we've seen with Russia currently, where people are having their accounts frozen and they can't access their assets.
Right.
And so basically with Fiat24, you can create an account with us, and you can top up that account either with crypto or through a bank wire. And you can make transaction peer-to-peer. You can also use the cryptocurrency that you have, convert it into a fiat currency, which is Swiss francs or British pounds, the euro or US dollar, and then you can use those currencies. And so the way that we are connected to the metaverse and Web3 is really that we allow people to really own their currency and their assets. So it's a different way of operating.
That's really interesting. So that is a good point because, most people like myself included are like, why would I want to move into something that's digital, especially as being notorious for forgetting my password. But now that you said that, I think a lot of people are worried that the way we've seen certain startup companies go kind of bust because all of a sudden they're not woke enough and they've not been politically correct enough or whatever the case may be, and including whoever politics tends to target, all of a sudden an entire nation of people can be without their own banking. We saw it happen in Canada with the truckers. We've seen it happen with the BLM, with money has been displaced. We've seen it now with Russia where they have literally seized bank accounts or closed bank accounts. And, we just don't know the details. We really don't know how, whether it's legal or not, it's happened. And what you're saying is with cryptocurrency, when you have that key, that's money in your hand digitally.
Exactly. And also, if I can just say that something that we would really hope for the future is that to be able to use our current technology to allow for some kind of global currency such as Bitcoin that exists without any kind of central bank issuing it. So that would result in money that is without fluctuation or any kind of manipulation.
Okay.
And something that is ultimately a fair currency that's not manipulated by government. It's more efficient, it's easy to use, and we could also avoid inflation.
Okay. Well, that sounds wonderful. And I am now more interested than I was before in cryptocurrency and the blockchain. I mean, I personally was going to just trade in tequila and honey. But, this is great. There's some other options here. So with that, people, if you're interested in finding out more, including in how to invest, how to get started, and for the free giveaway of currency with Fiat24, you can check out Fiat24.com. And you can also go, of course, to LifeHakx.com. Check our blog. This will be listed with all of Karen and all of Fiat24's information. And for people who are interested, they can go to Fiat, that's Fiat, the number 24.com. That's Fiat24.com. They also have a YouTube channel. And if you'd like to contact Karen, she is available on LinkedIn, which is just under her name, which we will link on our website, lifehakx.com. And for our listeners and those who are viewing, Karen is offering from Fiat24 a giveaway of...
So only until June 30th, you can claim 500 F24 tokens with us. You'll be able to see the link, which gives you all of the simple instructions of how to do that. And with our F24 tokens, you can enjoy free banking services for amounts equivalent to the number of tokens that you have in your wallet. And you can also use them to buy premium land and accounts in our metaverse.
Very cool. Well, with that, people, now's the time to get involved with blockchain, the metaverse, and claim your free currency up until June, the end of June. So for more information, go on to lifehakx.com and check out Fiat24.com. Karen, it's been a pleasure. Thanks so much for being on LifeHakx.
Thank you.
DJ saved my life. Last night a DJ saved my life. Yeah.
LifeHakx.com. That's with a K and an X on Radio X.